In this video, I'll show you how to use the worksheet that's available to you in the course guide. The purpose of the worksheet is to walk you through the steps of the basic research process, but tailored to this particular assignment. The first step of the research process is to identify your topic. My topic for this example will be medical marijuana. And my stance is that perhaps I think it should be legalized. Okay, so that's my topic and my argument. Once you've identified your topic, the second step of the research process is to explore your topic. If you're dealing with a topic you know nothing about, the exploration phase can take the form of just reading broadly about it to see what it is, what it encompasses, the various perspectives. If you start your exploration like this, you can use the space below to take notes. But if you're dealing with a topic that you know something about, the exploration phase can take the form of brainstorming. Brainstorming what you know about your topic, or what you think you know, or what you associate with it. Brainstorming can take multiple forms, but for this assignment, I'm going to show you how to do a free write. A free write is pretty much exactly what it says it is. It's a brain dump onto the page. Write down anything you know about your topic, anything you think you know, anything you associate with it, anything you don't know, or any questions that you have about your topic. And depending on what your topic is, perhaps talk about the people who are impacted by it. You might articulate your argument and any potential counter-arguments. In the free write, don't worry about spelling or grammar or structure or anything like that. It doesn't have to be neat or pretty. It could be a bulleted list if you want. Ultimately, it doesn't have to make sense to anyone but you. Right now, if you will pause this video and take a few minutes to do your own free write, and I will do a sample free write for you. Okay, now that you've had some time to kind of do your own free write, we'll just imagine that I was over here diligently writing this for you, but we'll just paste that in. Okay, so this is my sample free write, and we're going to use this topic throughout this course guide. But my topic was medical marijuana should be legalized, and my brainstorming, my free write, I say marijuana is used to treat glaucoma in the elderly. I always start with that because that was my introduction to this topic, was that, I heard the argument that marijuana can't be that bad. The elderly use it to treat their glaucoma. So that's always the first thing that I associate with the topic. It's also used to treat seizure disorders, and it's used for pain management and to increase appetite in cancer patients. It is illegal federally, but is legal in some states: Colorado, California, Oregon, Washington, etc. And this is becoming a trend of states legalizing this. This creates some issues in the workplace. There was a guy that I heard about on NPR who lives in Colorado. He was fired from his job for testing positive for marijuana, even though he lived in a state where it was legal and he had a prescription. But because the company operated nationally, they had a zero tolerance drug policy to align with federal guidelines. Okay, so in just like a couple minutes, that is what comes to mind when I think of the issues surrounding marijuana legalization. And so this is my free write. So where do we go from here? Well, at this point, we want to use our free write and our topic statement to identify some potential keywords or search terms that might be helpful to us in finding information on our topic. So looking at what I've got here, I'm going to use this highlight feature up at the top. Obviously, my topic itself, medical marijuana, would be a useful search term, right? And then within my free write, I use the word marijuana. Some other things I might consider highlighting, right? You want to look at the major themes or ideas that you've got going on in your free write. I'm interested in marijuana, but not just marijuana. I'm interested in medical marijuana, right? And along those lines, the actual diseases that it treats would be things that I might be interested in, okay? Or the the functions of it, maybe pain management, increased appetite potentially. Now, here I mentioned that highlighting the diseases themselves, we do have cancer. I would hesitate to recommend just using cancer in this case, because if you were to combine search terms in the database and put marijuana in a search box and cancer in a search box, you might just get a bunch of articles that study whether or not marijuana causes cancer. So in this case, I would do cancer patients, because that makes it clearer what you're looking for, not the relationship to cancer by itself, but the use of medical marijuana on cancer patients. So this first kind of overarching theme here, because I think when I look at my free write that I've identified 3 main themes, is the medical uses or the treatment aspects of medical marijuana, right? So I would keep that in mind as a potential, also as a potential search term, or just like an overarching theme, the treatment aspects. Another thing that I have here is the legality issue surrounding it, right? So federal or federally, okay. I would highlight the word illegal here to kind of get at that legality issue. We've also got the word legal there. I might look at the individual states, right? They could potentially be some useful search terms. And so that second point deals with the legality of marijuana. Now, my third overarching theme, I think, is the impact or the overall impact on the workplace. So I would highlight that word, and I apologize for my dogs barking in the background. And here, the impact of marijuana legalization in the workplace, I would also highlight NPR, because that's where I heard about that guy, and pointing that out, I can go back and look and see if there's a way to track down that piece that I heard on the radio. So looking at what I've got here, okay, I've identified, some search terms potentially through my topic, just marijuana and medical marijuana. Looking at the treatment aspects of it, I would also highlight words like glaucoma, seizure disorders, pain management, cancer patients, those kinds of things. The second overarching theme is the legality, okay? So illegal, federal, state. I'll also highlight the word state, like state law. And then looking at the specific states, but then also the impact on the workplace, okay? And so once I've got some potential keywords identified, I could write them down in the space below. Once I've gotten all these written down, I would also recommend taking a few minutes to think about some potential synonyms and some potential related terms to the words that you've identified here. Synonyms are useful. Synonyms, you think about words that mean about the same thing, okay? It's possible that whatever your topic is, the language that comes to mind when you think about your topic, the words you use to articulate those concepts may not be the words that are used in the academic discussion. So let's say for this topic I was using words like pot and weed. Those would not be particularly useful to me as search terms. So it would be useful to me to think of other ways to express that idea. In this case, marijuana and medical marijuana are perfectly good search terms, but a synonym for that would be appropriate would be cannabis. Okay. Other forms that this could take one of the keywords that I have up here is seizure disorders, right? And I know if you have a child who has seizures, you're not going to give them a joint to smoke. So the way that you would administer this to a child in a medical setting, CBD oil perhaps might be a potential search term that would be appropriate in the context. Okay. Looking at other things that we've got here, when we talk about the federal legality issues, maybe we are looking at drug policy, right? Might be another way to express that idea. When we're looking at things like the impact on the workplace, another way to express that general idea might be employment, right? Or maybe workplace safety. Okay, these are other things that kind of get at the same idea. So it's useful once you've identified, you know, some potential search terms in your free write or some potential keywords in your free write to just sit and think about some possible synonyms, some other words that mean about the same thing, and then also potentially related terms, other things that come to mind when you look at what you've got. Okay. So once we've gone through, we've identified our topic. That's the first step of the research process. The second step of the research process is to explore your topic, and we did that through brainstorming with a free write. The third step of the research process is to take what you've done there and to identify some potential search terms. Okay. Now, as a bit of an extension on identifying some potential search terms, we'll scroll down to the second page of your worksheet. Under number 4, identify potential search term combinations. In this spot, this blank table gives you a space to combine some search terms. So we'll do this so that we can see what we've got. Each line would be a search. And then you think of each box, you would want one concept per box. So if you've ever seen a library database, which we're going to look at one, a lot of times when you go into it, there'll be multiple search boxes so that you can combine search terms. Think of these as those search boxes. So medical marijuana would be our first search term, and then let's just say we just did a search for medical marijuana just to see what was there, and that was search number 1. And search number 2, that was so much bigger. Hold on, let me take this down. All right, medical marijuana, and maybe we do seizure disorders. Now remember we were talking about synonyms and related terms above. Maybe I do medical marijuana and seizure disorders and I only get a handful of results, but in the results I get, I see mention of epilepsy. And so I try that as a search term instead and see that I get far more results because that's just a better word for the concept. And so that would be an example of a synonym that ended up being a better word choice. So we do a search for medical marijuana by itself. We get a ton of stuff, too much. So then we start combining it with search terms, medical marijuana and seizure disorders to see what's there. Then medical marijuana and epilepsy to see what's there. Right? And then you just go through medical marijuana and the workplace. Okay. You just go through and you're not limited to just this many searches or this table. You could just do this on a blank sheet of paper. Just sit down and figure out all the different aspects of your topic that you want to explore and the different combinations of search terms that would get you there. Medical marijuana and federal law or drug policy. Okay, so I identified 3 overarching themes. I would want to make sure that I had at least enough search term combinations that would allow me to fully explore all 3 of those themes. And then you can use the various other words there to kind of explore that more fully. So that's what we're doing with the first part of this worksheet. And if you have any questions, let me know.